For most of us, our monthly mortgage payment tends to be our largest monthly expense. And so many of us are looking at interest rates and hoping they go down so that we can refinance. The problem with refinancing is it can be expensive, right? And oftentimes those expenses get rolled into the mortgage, and we still might be better off, but you know, it's expensive. And is there a better way? And today I'm going to share with you what I consider to be a better way for refinancing your mortgage. So, you know, if interest rates do come down and you have a chance to refinance, likely if they start coming down, you may have a chance to refinance more than once. And, you know, the problem is, according to bankrate.com and LendingTree, refinances can cost over 1%, 1 to 3% of the mortgage amount or more. So if you're refinancing a $300,000 mortgage, you know, that can be $5,000 to $10,000, and that's real money. So is there a better way to refinance where not only are you not coming out of pocket, right? It's super easy to find a mortgage broker that will just roll the cost of the mortgage into your monthly payment. But is there a better way to do it? And today I'm going to talk about a technique that I really think very few people know about that can be super powerful. And basically the concept is you pay just a little bit more in interest rate than what you could, and that loan is more valuable to the people that buy mortgages, right? Let's say that, you know, as I record this, a 30-year mortgage is at about 6.5%. A 15-year mortgage is at about just under 6%. So let's say mortgage rates drop down to 5%. Well, maybe instead of refinancing at 5%, let's say you're at 6.5% now. Instead of refinancing down to 5%, maybe you refinance down to 5 1/8%. And that extra 1/8% is valuable to the people that buy mortgages. It's called the yield spread premium, the YSP. And technically the YSP, the yield spread premium, is what's paid to a mortgage broker that sells you a mortgage at higher than what the current interest rate is, right? So normally yield spread premium, I think, is a negative thing. It's, you know, you've got a mortgage broker, they told you they were getting you a great rate, but what they didn't tell you was there was a better rate available. And that's one of the ways that they get extra money. And it will be disclosed in your closing documents. And that's how I found out, frankly, about yield spread premium initially. Was I was closing on a loan in 2006, and my mortgage broker, when I was at closing, you know, they were getting an extra $5,000 that I didn't know they were getting. And that really left a bad taste in my mouth. It's like, wait a minute, you know, I was asking this mortgage broker, should I lock in the rates now? What do you think? Should I wait a couple weeks? And, you know, the reality is nobody knows. But what this broker had done, unfortunately for me, was, you know, I didn't realize I could have got a slightly lower rate. And so in addition to the 1% cost for this was for the initial mortgage for buying the house, the mortgage broker also got an extra $5,000, and that's real money. So I started looking into yield spread premium, and it turns out if you can find a broker that's willing to do this, and it's hard to find one, but if you can use that, in my case, that $5,000 to pay some or all of your refinance costs. So that was, you know, when I did that loan in 2006, I was paying 6.5%, so close to where we are now. And then, of course, during the financial crisis, interest rates went down, and I refinanced 5 times. Eventually got down to a 15-year fixed rate, 2.5% mortgage. But each time I did those refinances, right, if I hadn't used the yield spread premium, I would have been out $5,000 to $10,000 on each of those refinances. And you know, that very quickly adds up to $25,000 or $30,000 or more over, you know, 5 refinances. Now, the nice thing about the yield spread premium is as long as the rates continue to go down, you can refinance, in my case, every 6 months. I wasn't allowed to refinance every month. I wasn't allowed to refinance all the time. I had to wait 6 months, which is fair. The person that bought my mortgage wants to be able to get some payments back. But every 6 months I could refinance. Now, in order to do this, you have to have a mortgage that there's no penalty to prepay. So that's one thing. then you have to find a broker that's willing to use this yield spread premium to pay down the actual closing costs. So what you want to ask your broker is, is there any yield spread premium on this loan? Hopefully your broker says no when they're initially quoting you, because that tells you they're giving you the best available rate. And then you can ask them, look, is there a loan at a slightly higher rate that would give us a yield spread premium that I could use to pay the closing costs? So it can be a really powerful technique, particularly if interest rates are in a period where they're going to continue to drop in. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what interest rates are going to do in the future. But I do know if they fall over like a 2-year period, like I said, right now, they're about 6.5%. Could they fall back down to 2.5%? Maybe not. Even if they just fell down to 4%, though, that on a $300,000 loan with 2.5% interest rate, that's real money for you. That's 7,000. What is it? 2% would be 6. Yeah, so that would be $7,500 a year. That's a significant amount of money. So this technique can be really powerful. Let's see, I'm trying to think about any negatives associated with it. It's hard to find a broker that will do a deal like this, but I think if you call around, I found somebody. I had to call maybe 7 or 8 brokers, and I used that person for 5 or 6 refinances and shared that person's name with many of my friends. I bet he ended up doing probably 30 refinances for me, my clients, and my friends, at least. And now he's got so much business. He was starting off earlier when I worked with him, and now he's got enough business that he's like, I want to try to keep that yield spread premium if I can. And I don't blame him, right? We all have to make a living. But I do think you can probably find a broker that will be willing to do this with yield spread premium. So again, it's called yield spread premium, Y-I-E-L-D. Yield is kind of like the interest rate on a loan. And the initials are YSP. And if you do a Google search on it, you can find out more. It's also important for you to know that mortgage brokers are not fiduciaries to you 100% of the time, or at least not in my home state. I know this varies state by state, so you want to look into it. But, when you're asking your broker, what do you think I should do? Just know that, this is different than a fee-only financial advisor. That has to be a fiduciary to you 100% of the time. The broker can tell you the truth, but not necessarily the whole truth, not the whole story, right? I want to share with you both the positives and the negatives. And I think there's a lot of great mortgage brokers out there. But realize they're probably not a fiduciary to you 100% of the time. So just keep that in mind. I hope this video has been helpful. If it has been, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up. It really does help other people find the channel. Leave me a comment. I love reading the comments. I try to read all of them every night if I can and reply to at least a dozen, if not a couple dozen. So leave me a comment. I like that as well. And as the young people say, thumbs for likes and subs for love. So if you love the channel, consider subscribing. And until next time, I'm Azul, encouraging you to take full advantage of the youth of your senior years. Remember, you're only young once. Use this time wisely.